Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Addicted to Gear. I'm pretty excited because I just came back from my local music store, and lo and behold, what did I see on the shelf? The Squier Contemporary Series that I really was interested in trying out. So I went ahead and tried out as many guitars as I could in the lineup for you guys, and I took a whole bunch of mental notes, and I wanted to talk about it right here and now before I forget, because I really am impressed by the Contemporary Series, and I feel as though the Contemporary Series was kind of shunned at this year's NAMM show because Fender was busy launching the new Hot Rod series as well as the new guitars that I talked about in some of my previous videos that you can check out. So I felt that because the Squier series is kind of lower cost, maybe they're not making as much money from them, they were kind of like pushed in the corner, and they didn't really talk about it all that much. But I did notice them when I was looking at some of the reviews and the discussions on the NAMM show, and they really caught my attention. And I'm a big fan of the Squier lineup. I have a couple of classic vibe guitars. I have this Squier Deluxe, which I do love. And I have a feeling that I'm probably eventually going to own one of the contemporary guitars because I feel that they offer some really nice modern features for people that are not necessarily into the classic features that are offered in the classic vibe series. One other cool thing about the Squier lineup is that they're really affordable. That's one of the reasons why they sell so great. They're only about $350. They're a great modding platform. They're well built. And if you can't afford $350, which is not a whole lot to begin with, if you wait a little while, you're going to end up getting these guitars for a lot less on the used market. So let's start off by looking at these guitars. I'm going to start off talking about my opinion of them, and we'll look at some photos on the screen so that you can understand which one I'm talking about. There's a couple of different guitars in the lineup, 3 different Strat style guitars and a Telecaster. The difference between the Strat style guitars basically is that there's one that's offered in an active pickup configuration with a Floyd Rose, and then there's 2 guitars that are offered in either an humbucker configuration or a single coil humbucker SSH style. And then there's a Telecaster that is offered with 2 humbuckers in it. So let's start off with the first one that was kind of the oddball of the bunch, is the one with the humbuckers that are active as well as the Floyd Rose. So when I pulled this one off the wall, I have to admit that I was not a big fan of the looks of it. I'm not a big fan of active pickups. I really don't like reverse headstocks, and I don't like the bigger style Fender headstocks that this one had. And I also don't like painted headstocks. Now, unfortunately, all of the guitars in this lineup have a painted headstock. So you would have to either overlook that if you're not a fan or get used to it. Now, it's not a big thing. It's not huge. It's really just aesthetic. But I don't understand why they did that. I think they would appeal to a lot more people if they just would have kept the headstock plain. But they didn't. And that's okay. But for this particular one, out of the bunch, visually was my least favorite. I have to say that the pickups sounded a little bit sterile to me. They didn't seem very dynamic, and although they were quiet, they sounded a little muddy. They lacked definition, if I can put it that way. So that's one of the disadvantages of this particular guitar. The other thing is that it does have a Floyd, which is a plus for a lot of people. The Floyd is a licensed Floyd Rose, not a real Floyd Rose. The body was rooted for both dive bombs as well as being able to pull up the tremolo. So if you're actively using the tremolo, you won't have any obstacles in your way. The neck is available in rosewood, and the back of the neck is a clear satin feel. So if you don't like the sticky polyurethane, you're gonna like this neck. The Floyd did go slightly out of tune, but I'm gonna chalk that one up to the fact that maybe the strings weren't stretched completely. And you know, it's often the case that something will go out of tune when the strings are not stretched like that. So I'm gonna reserve comment on that. The other thing is, because I do like to mod my guitars, eventually if I was to purchase a guitar like this and mod it, you would still be stuck with the battery compartment situation. So if you put in regular humbuckers in place of the active humbuckers, I don't like to have a compartment there that I'm not using for anything. So it's a little bit of a disadvantage in my opinion. The other thing that I didn't like about this particular one was the fact that it's only offered in two colors. It's either flat black or Olympic white that has metal flakes in it. I have to say that the flat black, although it's cool, I felt that the finish on my EVH Stealth Special was nicer than this one was. I tended to lean more towards the Olympic white version. I just felt that it looked nicer. Yeah, it kind of has like a Jake E. Lee look to it, especially with the reverse headstock and the black pickguard and whatnot. So for somebody who's looking for that 80s look, I think you'll like the guitar. The feel, the fit, the finish, the fretboard was very nice. I have to say, it's the only one out of the bunch that is being offered with a Floyd Rose. So let's move on to the next version, and that would be the HH configuration without the Floyd. This guitar seems to work better for me just because I'm more of a traditionalist, and I already own a Charvel, and this reminds me a lot of my Charvel because it does have the Strat body with the humbucker situation in it, and my Charvel came with zebra stripe pickups, and this one has zebra stripe pickups as well. There's a lot of people out there that do not like the zebra stripes, and they would prefer to have either black pickups or covered pickups. But in this case, the only option is the zebra stripe pickups that are ceramic. So if you don't like the tonality of a ceramic pickup, then this guitar might not be for you. If you don't mind buying it and modding it, then of course you have the option of doing so at a later time. When I picked up this guitar, again, the fit and finish on the neck seemed very good. The neck on all of these guitars are pretty much the same. It has a C-shaped neck that's not very big, very comfortable in the hands, jumbo frets, 12-inch radius. Again, you're looking at a body and headstock that are painted to match. And again, you're looking at the metal flake finish. In this particular version, you have the pearl white, dark metallic red, and black metallic as an option and nothing else. So if you don't like any of those colors, obviously you're going to be stuck. One thing I didn't like about this guitar is that it only had a 3-way switch on it. And I would have figured that they would have, at the very least, offered maybe a 5-way configuration where you would be able to split the humbuckers into single coils. But unfortunately, you can't do that, at least not in its stock variety. If you modify it, you can, obviously, and that's always an option with the guitar. But when I played the guitar, the pickups did sound nice and crunchy. They sounded full. I was able to get some nice squeals out of them as well. They had some nice definition. I don't shun ceramic pickups. I think there's some ceramic pickups that sound very good. Generally, we'll see them having a little bit more output and maybe a little less definition. But a lot of people that are playing at home will do very nicely with some pickups like this without having to change a thing. The other thing that we'll notice on this guitar is that it only has a tone and a volume knob. It doesn't have the typical volume tone configuration that you will have on a regular Strat. And is that a disadvantage? In my opinion, it's not really a big disadvantage because most of the time people don't use the tone knobs. They just use one or don't touch the tone knob at all. The advantage with having only 2 knobs as opposed to 3 is that you can squeeze in a little micro switch there if you intend to mod the guitar and have it where you can split the humbuckers. So that's always another option that you can do. The bridge on the guitar is a 2-point floating bridge, good quality, just as good as what I have on my deluxe Squier that I have in my hands right now, and I don't have any issues with that type of bridge at all. The rest of the hardware was well made, no issues there. This guitar, although it comes with a nice maple neck, it's not offered in a rosewood configuration for some strange reason. I would have liked to have seen that in rosewood. But if you want to have a rosewood neck, you're going to have to go with the humbucker single configuration. What is nice though is that Squier has paid attention to the lefties and is offering these guitars in a left-hand configuration, because oftentimes lefties are left out in the cold and they're stuck with some other models, but it's nice to see that Squier hasn't forgotten them. So the humbucker single configuration was my favorite of the bunch. The reason for that is that it does have a 5-way switch, so you can go with all the typical in-between positions. It doesn't have a split coil for the humbucker, but you can definitely mod that if you wanted to go with a split humbucker. I'm not a huge fan of the split humbucker to begin with, so for me it's not a big deal, but it is doable. So for somebody who prefers rosewood, that's going to be a nicer option for you, but it's not offered in a maple neck. So they're really polarizing your choices. In other words, if you're looking for a maple neck, but you want to have the humbucker single coil configuration, well, you're going to be out of luck. When I tried this guitar plugged in, I tried it into a Blues Junior. It sounded very nice, very full. The neck pickup and the middle position are nice and chimey. The bridge pickup is definitely hotter and louder than the other two single coils. So that might be something that you may like or not like, depending on how balanced you want your guitar to sound. And I specifically liked the Olympic white configuration the best. I just felt it looked classy, especially with the rosewood fretboard. And because my Deluxe has a maple fretboard, who knows? You know, maple fretboard, white pickguard. That one has a black pickguard with a rosewood fretboard, and it has a humbucker single configuration. So it might be in my future. We don't know yet, but it's definitely something that I'm going to be considering. Last but not least, there is the Telecaster. And the Telecaster, if we can call it that, and the reason why I say that is because the Telecaster does not have Telecaster type pickups in it. It has two humbuckers. Obviously, this is a common mod that a lot of people will do if they want to have a beefier sounding Telecaster. And I really do like to have humbuckers in Telecasters. You have to have one of each. But this configuration is quite nice because you have the best of both worlds. You have a really nice fat sounding Telecaster, which gets a little bit closer to what you would get with something like a Gibson Les Paul. Unfortunately, this guitar is only offered in the metallic red. That being said, the metallic red was very well done. I thought that the metallic red looked very classy. Unfortunately, there's no option for a rosewood neck on this one, so you're stuck with maple. And the interesting thing is that they've decided to go with a 6-saddle bridge, and the 6-saddle bridge is going through the body as well. So you do have, I guess, a little bit more sustain because it's string through body, and you do have the ability to actually get finer intonation happening because you do have individual saddles as opposed to, let's say, 3 saddles on a typical vintage Telecaster. The neck is also a 12-inch radius. Frets on this guitar are jumbo frets, and it just sounded great. What I did like about this guitar also is that it had a tummy tuck on it. So we all know that Telecasters are a little bit more square in shape. They don't really conform to your body as nicely as a Strat would do, but having the tummy tuck in there actually did feel a lot nicer. A great sounding, very chunky sounding guitar. With gain, it really kills. And, again, just another option that you have out there if you like Telecasters, but you want to have more of a fatter sound. This is definitely one that you might consider. So in a nutshell, guys, I think the Contemporary series from Squier is going to be a big hit. I think it's going to be just as popular as the Classic Vibe series was for them, except for people that are looking for contemporary options. For the price point, I think you can't go wrong. I will definitely be keeping my eyes open for these in the near future when they start popping up here and there on the used market. And I will probably snag one or two of them for myself and use them as a modding platform. And I think I'll be very happy with that, especially at that price. So you can't really go wrong, guys. And if you happen to have them or spot them in your local stores, do yourself a favor, take a couple of minutes, try them out for yourself, and just let me know if I'm wrong in what I said here today. I hope the video helped you guys if you're considering buying one of these guitars. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave it below in the comments. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do, because there will be more great videos like this coming your way. But in the meantime, guys, stay healthy, stay tuned, and keep rocking. See you soon.